Want to welcome everybody to the Finance Committee meeting for Glenn County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, April the 25th, 2023. The time is 2 o'clock. We're going to get started. Commissioners, any adjustments or changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the recommended action on item 23 and add item 29 to the agenda. You want me to read them?
No. Any issues with that?
Commissioners,
Okay.
could you, if you're not going to read it, could you at least refer to, maybe just say that as marked on this green sheet?
Okay.
We need something in the record to say
I'll
what it is.
tell you what, let's just read them. I move to amend the recommended action on item 23 and to add item 29. Item 23 is approved the second amendment to the contract with Shanna M. Knight, DMV LLC, for providing veterinary services for 1 year term up to 3 one-year renewals in an amount not to exceed $54,600 per year, with funding to be provided by the FY 23-24 Animal Control Operating Budget. Item 29, which I wish to move to the first item of business, Mr. Chairman, is I move to authorize the purchase of a 23 Dodge Charger in the amount of $36,305.98, with funding to be provided by the general fund undesignated fund balance.
Okay, there's a motion, and is there a second?
Second.
The changes have been properly motioned and properly second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Item 29.
We didn't do consent agenda.
Oh, hold on a minute.
Mr. Chairman.
No, I thought you moved it before the consent agenda.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda unless there's something we need to pull.
Yeah, I would like to pull 8, and 16 and 17. And there's one more that I wanted. And then item 20. So that was 8, 16, 17, and then and 20.
All right. So I move to approve the consent agenda and move to discussion item 8, 16, 17, and 20.
Second. Okay, the consent agenda's been properly motioned and seconded with items 8, 16, and 17, and 20 pulled off of discussion items. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Okay, now item 29.
Chairman.
Hey, how you doing? All right. So item 29 is to purchase a 2023 Dodge Charger in the amount of $36,305.98, with funding to be provided by the general fund undesignated fund balance. Sheriff John.
Out of the proposed 24 budget, I've talked to CFO. It was a vehicle that was involved in a pursuit that came from McIntosh through Glenn County twice. The vehicle that was involved in the crash was cut off by a motorist, and he went to the meeting and totaled out that vehicle. That's off the traffic team, and to get the traffic team back up to par, I need another vehicle because that one's totaled.
Okay. Sheriff, do we have any unmarked traffic cars in your division?
No, but when a traffic car is out of commission, he has to drive an unmarked car.
Okay, all right.
But all the unmarked cars are properly blue lighted sirens and have all the emergency equipment.
So we do have some that don't have the logos and stuff out.
That's correct.
They just have
That's correct.
the lights and stuff.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Commissioners? Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to, I've lost it.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, I got it.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the purchase of the 2023 Dodge Charger in the amount of $36,305.98 with funding to be provided by the general fund undesignated fund balance.
Second.
Item 29 has been properly motioned and seconded to be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right.
Thank you, Chairman. May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, item 8. And Mr. Harris, is Toby Harris here?
Yes.
And I couldn't open this for some reason on the for report. Okay. Mr. Harris, come up here. I just wanted an overview of this.
Yes, sir. Commissioners. To adopt the resolution approved and amended Glenn County occupational tax penalty ordinance. We have discussed on how we possibly could reallocate or move around the penalties on late fees, things of that nature. We're also looking at in the future, or how we can. There's credit card fees. We're doing an evaluation of how that removing those fees actually outweighs what it costs to physically go in and do that from our staff.
So what, when you say the staff going in outweighs the cost of?
Well, this is for the penalty on the tax, the occupational tax side. I'm sorry, I kind of got caught off guard just then. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Commissioners,
yes.
if you don't mind, I'll add something here. I kind of, Toby, sorry to interrupt, but I kind of spearheaded this as Toby was first coming on. So this is Tamara Munson, CFO. And what the purpose of this change is to take away the compound interest calculation on penalties. So the compound interest calculation is a calculation that cannot function with the new software we have purchased for OpenGov. And our penalties for occupation tax is somewhere around $5,000 a year. So we're not talking about very much, probably a couple $100 in total that will change based on not doing a compound interest calculation. Right now we're doing that calculation by hand, and it's an extremely time-consuming process. So that's really the purpose of this change. And in addition to that change, we also moved the due date from April to February. And the reason for that is, the occupation taxes are supposed to be paid at the beginning of each year, and we gave everyone a grace period till April. And so what would happen is if people didn't pay until May or June, we were halfway through the year before we even started any kind of enforcement or code enforcement action. So we just wanted to back that up to February to give us some more time to be able to process that. And we will be lenient in the first year and make sure that all of our businesses are aware of the date change.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Tamara.
Commissioners, you have any questions? If not, I'll entertain the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt a resolution to approve the amended Glenn County occupation tax penalty ordinance.
Second.
Item 8 has been properly motioned and seconded. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
16, I believe. President. I just want an overview of these.
Sure. So item 16 is going to be authorization for procurement to put out bids for Tier 1 SPOS projects. So the way that the ordinance is written is any unbudgeted projects needs to go before the board for approval to bid out. And so that would authorize us to start bidding out these SPOS projects consistent with what Jason Hagan presented to the Board of Commissioners, I think it was last week, schedule-wise. And then once we put that out to bid, the award would still come before Finance Committee and the Board of Commissioners to award.
Okay. All right. And that's, what's the second part of this?
So item number 17. So item number 17 is to issue a request for qualification. So our ordinance allows for a professional service exemption. Anything under $50,000 can go through the county manager. Anything over can be approved by the Board of Commissioners. Or if there is a different procedure, the Board of Commissioners will dictate what that procedure is. So what we would like to do is issue a request for qualifications, identify what projects we want is for engineering firms. So what projects we would like drainage, roadway, sidewalks, things such as that. Issue a request for qualifications, evaluate them, and build a group of 4 or 5 engineering firms that we can issue out work to. So putting the work in on the front end, we make sure that they're qualified, and then as we start to issue out work, that's where we will deal with the fee and the quote. So it streamlines the process. We do most of the footwork in the beginning, not at the end, and it'll allow more efficiency to get these projects out and designed.
So how would we assign that work? Would be on a rotating basis or based on what the firm?
So basically, if we've got a group of 4 or 5 and we've got let's just use a sidewalk project, we can send it out to those firms, ask for a quote, ask for what a timeline would be, and then we can negotiate and assign it from there. There might also be some specialty where one firm might be have more experience in doing a certain work, and we might decide to go that route just based on their specialty.
Okay.
Let me ask a question, President. So if someone is the low bidder, what does it mean if I've seen that referred to as they were the low bidder, but they were non-responsive? What does that mean?
You have to be a responsible and responsive bidder. So responsible means that you can do the job. You have the experience to do it, you have the staff, the financial backing to be able to do the scope of work we ask for. Responsiveness is that you meet the criteria that we asked in the invitation for bid. Documents that need to be notarized and signed, references, a fee schedule that's consistent with the bid schedule we put out. So that's the difference, is one being able to do the job, and the other, you've complied with the requirements of the IFP.
Okay, so if they were non-responsive, they did not complete all the
They
project.
missed out something, or they did not provide
Okay.
something. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Paul?
I'm good.
Okay. Entertain a motion. If you can we do both of them, Will? Or?
I think you need to
Let's
do
do
them
them
separately.
separate. I'll do it.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize procurement to issue bids for approved Tier 1 SPLOST 2022 projects.
Second.
Item 16 has been properly motioned and seconded to be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. Item 17.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize procurement to issue a request for qualifications to establish a pool of engineering and design firms to be used for capital and SPLOST projects.
Second.
Item 17 has been properly motioned and seconded to be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Item 20. Chief Jackson.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Basically, Commissioners, this is a request for $6,000 to outfit 13 vehicles that we received from FY23 funds with in-car video camera. The cars currently do not have those, but they are in use. Axon is charging us the $6,000 because the removal of the system from an old car and reinstallation into a new car is not covered by our service contract. So that's the fee in order to do that.
Okay. Have we been getting pretty good service from these folks?
So far, they've been really responsive with the body-worn camera stuff as well as the in-car cameras. No technical issues that they haven't been able to find a workaround or work with us with getting it corrected.
Okay. All right. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners accept the service agreement with Axon Enterprise for the installation of 13 cameras and issue a PO in the amount of $6,000.
Item 20 has been properly motioned and seconded to be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you, sir.
All right, general business. Item 25, approve or deny a refund request from property owners Lawrence and Amy Y. Kinney for interest and penalties paid on property taxes for 2022 in the amount of $1,882.61 on parcel 05-00314 located at 216 West 21st Street, Sea Island, Georgia.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Arlene Sapp, representative from the Glenn County Tax Commissioner's Office. So this appeal comes from Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence Kinney. Mr. and Mrs. Kinney states, we never received a 22 tax bill at our mailing address. As you will be able to see, we have always paid our tax bill. We never received any notification of any kind until we received a phone call 4 days ago that our bill had not been paid. In researching this account, our records reflect that we sent the bills to 3495, what's that, Tacoma Drive Road in Atlanta, Georgia. It was implemented in our system in January of 2006, which is the correct address and has been verified by the homeowner through correspondence we received from them. We noticed also that SunTrust had been paying the tax bills. I assume that was their mortgage companies. We also checked our return mail as well. No bills have been returned to our office. Our office cannot find where we were negligent in this matter.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move to deny a refund request from property owners Lawrence and Amy Y. Kinney for interest and penalties paid on property taxes for 2022 in the amount of $1,882.61 on parcel 05-00314 located at 216 West 21st Street, Sea Island, Georgia.
Second. Item 25 has been properly motioned to deny the request for a refund as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you. Item 26, award a contract for East Beach Sidewalk Improvements Construction to Swindle Construction Company, Glenville, Georgia, in the amount of $249,615 with funding in the amount of $199,615 to be provided by the Accommodation Exercise Tax Fund, undesignated fund balance, and the fund, and the amount of $50,000 to be provided Splash 2022 funds, funded with an advance with Capital Projects Fund, unreserved cash, which will be paid back once Splash 2022 collections begin for the island sidewalks portion. Dave Austin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is the first SPLOST 22 project for construction. Swindell Construction Company out of Glenville was the lowest responsive bidder. You might remember they did the sidewalk down Old Cypress Mill Road, and so we recommend award.
Dave, they're replacing the sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
So there's no right-of-way acquisition.
Correct.
They take up, throw away, and put down new.
Correct.
No grading.
Correct. Minimal grading.
Yeah. So it's $118.35 a foot. That's, to me, it's excessive, especially since there's no right-of-way, there's
There's maintenance of traffic. They're going to have to, there'll be a period of one-lane closures.
I sat in some of that one-lane closure a little while ago.
Yes, sir. So our basic estimate before SPLOST 21 was $100 a linear foot.
What did
They're coming in a little higher than $100 a linear foot.
it was 118.35, I checked it. What was the, what happened to concrete constructors? That they were non-responsive?
Like Preston was saying, come on up.
I just want to know what didn't they turn in?
Jason Hartman, they hadn't done any work for the county, and they didn't provide their packet to Reston or a lot of the forms. We called some of their references, and the references were not good, so that was, they didn't complete their form work like Reston just stated to Mr. Sweat's question earlier in the conversation here.
Yeah, I just wanted to know why.
Sure, yes, sir, that's the reason.
And we had no local people bid on it?
No, sir.
So, yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, we've got to do something about that.
Where are we?
Hey, Commissioners, if I could ask Dave, so the original scope on this was not to replace the entire sidewalk, it was just to repair certain sections, correct?
No, sir.
The entire, so it was an entire replacement?
Well, that depends on who you ask.
Yeah, Jason, if you could, on the SPOS list, my understanding was this was a repair.
That was my understanding, too.
I think there was confusion on with the folks that estimated it, because our original number was much higher than $50,000.
Jason?
So we did list 50,000 in our SPOS documentation as a repair work, and so we've changed the scope to be a replace work now.
Yeah, and I guess the point is that we're sticking to the SPOS list, we're sticking to the amount that we set forward in the SPOS. So that's why the 50,000 is being paid for out of SPOS, but then the remainder is going to be paid for out of the accommodation excise tax fund. Primarily, this is East Beach Causeway, right? And so it's used by short-term rentals, vacationers,
Yes, sir.
hotels, motels.
That's correct.
So this is the sidewalk on the north side of the causeway, right?
Yes, sir, it runs right along East Beach Causeway.
Okay.
On the north side.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with supporting this without making sure that local people have an opportunity at this. So, I mean, unless it's going to cause a big pushback on something else, or if the sidewalks are so dangerous, with people walking on it. So.
I came to the county about a year ago. I've been here a year plus. The whole time that I've been here, we've talked about this project and $150,000 being devoted to this. I have paperwork from February of last year to current. This $50,000, I'm not sure where that's coming from. So we explored the project. It's beyond repair. Every time we put a bid out, we're going to get worse and worse calls. Swindell Construction has done multiple projects for us. They might not be local, but they're one of the best contractors I've seen in my time overseeing construction here in the county. So I really don't think it's a wise idea from my standpoint. I'm not sure where the $50,000 issue's coming up with, but from the get-go, we've always had $150,000 devoted to this project.
So you all are pretty comfortable this is a good deal?
Yes, sir. We looked line by line. The issue with the bid is traffic control and since it's close to the roadway and the removal of the concrete. The removal of the concrete, the contractor has to take that physically off-site. A lot of our, as Mr. Rafalski, you were saying earlier, this is not a project we can compare to other sidewalk projects because most of our other sidewalk projects will be fresh, like grassed areas where we're putting sidewalk down. There's a removal and maintenance cost involved with this, and I really think the contractor put that in his cost. He asked a question to us about that in our pre-bid meeting, and I think that really drove his cost, knowing that he was going to have to get rid of all that 1,500 material of concrete. So really, I really think we should push for this. If it's something you guys can consider, that would be ideal, but the decision's up to you guys. But that's just the background I'm seeing, and we analyzed the bids, and that's what we're feeling is best for construction and for the county.
Okay.
So I guess what you're saying that there's no line showing that he's going to have to dispose of material.
It's in our specs, in our contract that we've developed. It's under the grading complete line item.
Right.
It states that the contractor shall remove concrete and other multiple items, and that covers us from the county from that standpoint. Most of our projects have that item listed there, and we've specifically written that for this project. There's a lot of cookie cutter stuff we put in there. A lot of times with that, for this specific project, we've specifically listed that the removal of concrete will be included in that cost, and that's why that cost was elevated more than what we could estimate in our office when we try to come up with a cost for this internally.
Okay, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman, I move the Board of Commissioners award a contract for the East Beach Sidewalk Improvement Construction to Swindell Construction Company of Glenville, Georgia, in the amount of $249,615, with funding in the amount of $199,615 to be prevented by the Accommodation Excise Tax Fund undesignated fund balance, and the amount of $50,000 to be provided by SPLOST 22 funds funded in advance from Capital Projects Fund unreserved cash, which will be paid back once SPLOST 22 collections begin for island sidewalk portion.
Pretty good. You read that much better than me. Item 26 has been properly motioned and second to be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, item 27. Mr. Austin, authorize staff to issue an invitation to bid to pave the remaining 2.3 miles of Pinnock Road. Praise God.
Yes, sir. So, we have that road ready to pave, and this is a request from the district commissioner, the new district commissioner, District Wayne Neal, Chairman Wayne Neal. And I'm going to let Jason Hartman come up here and answer any questions, because he did such a great job on the last one. We don't put a number in there. We have some money that we've collected from some of our other SPLOST projects, and we don't put a number in there on what we think the bid's going to be. We'll put it out to bid, and we'll be back to see you with the bid and the recommendation on whether to award or not.
So this goes from the part back to the other part that's been paid.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Any questions?
I'm good.
What is the key to getting more bids than we're?
Well, it depends. We're in an area where we don't have a lot of contractors. We got no bids on our second SPLOST project that we had advertised. That is the North Harrington Drainage Project. We've got about 2 or 3 companies that seem to want to do drainage work for us. We think that their bond level was at capacity because they already had 2 jobs that they're working for us, working with us. Our problem with this particular situation is we have Seaboard Construction, which is stretched out doing work at Colonel's Island and doing work up 17, and they're not bidding on any projects, which is why we couldn't get Canal Road bid out. And so we do have Jay Hires, which is doing our LMIG, doing a good job, and is planning to bring a asphalt plant here in the county. Currently, we got 1 asphalt plant in the county. If somebody else wins the East Coast there out of Douglas, they got to haul their asphalt all the way from Douglas. So you got to keep that hot in the truck and make sure it's at the right temperature when it hits the ground. So there's just we try to do our end. We work with the contractors, make sure stupid mistakes aren't made, and to get them paid quickly, which finance does a very good job. When we agree on what the payment is, they get their pay. They get a check cut in about 3 days. We get it on Wednesday, they get it on Friday. So we try to accommodate the contractor, be friendly on the contractor as far as how we treat them and how we pay them, and encourage more work. It's just like doing residential construction. All the residential construction is on one island, and if you're somewhere else, you can't get somebody to do work for you.
Okay, so you mentioned Seaboard and Hires. In the past, they have been frequently in the mix.
We got 3 paving companies that we've used, Seaboard, Hires, and East Coast.
Okay.
Commissioners?
Do it, Dave.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize staff to issue an invitation to bid to pave the remaining 2.3 miles of Pinnock Road.
Second.
Item 27 has been properly motioned and seconded to be approved as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. All right, item 28, approve the design award to TSW for the Coast Guard Beach Park renovation project in the amount of $606,000 with funding to be provided by the Accommodation Exercise Tax Fund balance.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Hey, Jason.
Put this proposal RFP out to bid. We received 5 proposals back. We did an evaluation process. Evaluators consisted of 3 non-staff personnel and 3 county personnel. And the results came back. TSW, as a result, was the winner of the evaluation. However, they use a subcontractor who is on the Mainland Planning Committee. And so there is a possible conflict of interest there that we need to rule on. If it is ruled that that is, in fact, something that should keep them from doing this job, then we could give them the option to hire another subcontractor, or we could go with another with another vendor who submitted a proposal.
Yeah.
Jason, I'm going to start before that. There's two proposals. One is with renovation of bathroom, and the other one is redesign of bathroom. I don't think we decided which way we want to go there yet.
No, sir.
The other thing is TSW, Mr. Fallon, is the one that wrote our ordinances. Is this the same company?
I believe it is, sir.
So this is the same arm of a company we've got trouble with right now.
It would be a different arm of the same
Yeah,
company.
but I mean, it's the same.
Yes, sir.
Same thing. Looking at the 4 bids, Pond came in lowest.
And so
I'm having trouble on this phone. I'm
Palmer
sorry.
is deemed non-responsive. They did not include a bid to build the lighthouse, to design the lighthouse.
Here, Alan, this will help you.
Lifeguard tower.
Okay. So, but then we've got 3 others. We have GMC, and we have, is it Ratio? R-A-T?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ratio and TSW. Now, from what I see in pricing, GMC on the, I think we need to decide, are we going to redesign the bathrooms or are we going to build new bathrooms?
And that is part of what we've asked them to do, is to conduct interview sessions with the board and then with others.
So that's really not, so, all right, here's the difference. And I'm not for wasting money, but with the mess we've had with TSW, this is my reason for this. You got GMC at $543,500. You've got Ratio at $645,000, and you got TSW at $606,000. That's on the, I think that's on the replace the bathroom. No, that's a redesign. And then the other part of it, the Ratio is $20,000 and maybe $40,000 difference in the price. But with the trouble we've had with TSW, I can't see going into another project with them with the ordinance is not resolved yet. If Mr. Fallon's got a different idea, I'd like to hear it.
No, I was just curious on GMC. So why GMC's proposal, what was, is that just an option or is that not a recommendation?
They were just an option. They ranked, so the scores were GMC received a 5.36, Ratio received a 5.81, TSW received a 6.26. for the evaluator score. And then when we included the fee, GMC had a 7.86, Ratio had 7.91, and lastly, TSW was at the top with 8.5. And that's when the fee was included.
So when the staff or the other people who are not staff were scoring this, did they not take into consideration the issues we've had with them before?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so,
I
no,
really
sir.
don't think so. I think the RFP was written and it was put out to bid.
That's right.
Well, Resident, can you answer that procurement-wise?
Sure, I guess they would have to have direct knowledge of those issues. If it's just a county employee, I don't know if they would have direct knowledge that there are these ongoing issues. Or if it would impact it in any way.
Well,
If it's a
it would
different
depend
branch
on
of the
who
company.
the county employee would be, because this is public knowledge.
One more time?
This is public knowledge, the issues with the ordinance, and these guys,
There are specific areas that they're supposed to evaluate, and we break that down. From experience, I'd have to look at the probably implementation plan, areas like that, so they are limited to what they evaluate the company on, specifically to what we ask in the RFP.
To me, it looked like Ratio and TSW were very close.
I don't know how they came out on top with these issues. I'm really having an issue with that, with the evaluators. And I know they like, we don't know everything y'all know as staff, and y'all may not know everything we know as commissioners, but I thought this was, we all knew this.
So our evaluators, we are by our procurement ordinance, we evaluate proposals based on what we publish in our proposals, and so they're limited to their evaluations of those specific areas.
So the working relationship history, I thought we just talked about this with previous the previous work with the county doesn't play in that. You all don't score that somewhere. Didn't I just hear that from somewhere?
I can speak to it.
Yeah.
Jason Harbin, Engineering Division Manager. I've reviewed quite a few of these proposals. I'm not going to comment whether I reviewed this one, but generally to help Reston with this, it looks at previous projects, and if it talks, if you see in there about Glenn County projects, then they can be looked at on that. But it's very vague. It looks at, like Reston said, experience of the project managers. How does this proposal apply to projects you've done previously? And it basically states there should be no opinions formed about the person, and you try to be objective when you're making these decisions.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's set out in the rules when we're doing these
Similar scope,
evaluations.
but it's a.
No, I get it, but we're talking about the performance on a particular task, right? That's not subjective, it's objective. And so their performance, really has been wanting.
So I guess the direct answer would be that, just my opinion, that's not the role of an evaluator, that would be the role of the board to make that decision. They're to evaluate the proposal and the projects that are submitted under a similar scope. So for this one, they are evaluating projects of construction and things such as not on to rewrite it.
Not performance with the county.
Correct.
So if somebody, we don't consider if somebody did something underhanded in another situation.
The good thing is they have references in there, and if an evaluator is really wise, they can contact those references to help formulate their numbers. Like if I got a packet of books, I could say, well, I'm going to contact every reference on here to get the personal effect on how did this company actually do. Or you can just look at it word for what's presented and not contact references, but they're supposed to have like 5 references. It's a very immense thing that.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but so they didn't list Glenn County as a reference.
I don't know if they did or not. We'll have to.
I can follow up with you on that certain time.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm just not comfortable with it.
May I add something here, please, for just a moment?
Yes, ma'am.
So our procurement ordinance does not currently provide a way for us to rank and score vendor performance. but that is something that Roseman is adding to the ordinance so that going forward on all projects that we do, we will be ranking and scoring vendor performance. And if vendor performance is not what it's supposed to be, they will be disqualified in the future. But right now, we don't have that option under our ordinance.
But I would say, Commissioners, right now you do have an option here, so you do have other options. Jason, you said the overall score for GMC and the other, what was the other company?
So for GMC, the overall score was 7.86.
Yep.
For Ratio, it was 7.91.
And what was the ratio cost for the project?
They were $20,000 higher,
Or was it more than that?
and then 40. It depends on which one you do, Bill. You either, if you just refurbish the bathrooms, it was $20,000. It was 606, hang on.
Whichever route you go, it's still the same ranking as TSW, Ratio, and then GMC,
Yeah.
if that helps.
But but GMC and Ratio were fairly close in their overall ranking, but what was the cost difference between GMC
You have
and
the numbers
Ratio?
right there.
I got them right here. All right, somebody do a little math. GMC phone is not placed to do this.
Well, it's 575 on
I had GMC at 575, Ratio at 625, and TSW at 606.
606.
So you're looking at-
50,000 on one
Yeah.
and approximately 92,000 on the other.
So if you're looking at the score,
Are you talking about going
five
from,
hundredths of a point would be $50,000 difference.
but I mean, you're talking about going from TSW down to GMC.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm comparing if you're not looking at TSWs, I'm just comparing GMCs and Ratios. And so if you're looking at those two, it's a $50,000 difference in the overall score is only 500ths of a point difference. 7.91 versus 7.86.
I was looking at it TSW against Ratio. I understand that.
Yeah, and then, well, TSW was the original, right? So they're 606.
They were 606 either way, looked like, yeah.
So I think it's fair for me to introduce a couple of things to the discussion. I'm the liaison on the CDB, and if I'm not mistaken, this project is a split tax on the accommodation tax, that's the repayment. So
Yeah.
they definitely have a vested interest in this project. And I just know from conversation that they're very comfortable with TSW and some of the work they've done in the area. I think I heard Jekyll Island, but I don't know more than that. I don't know what projects that was, but they have a knowledge of work experience with them for the type of work they're being asked to do in this project that makes them comfortable. And the last point is in the overall evaluation, if I'm not mistaken, being low bidder, that's no more than 25% of the overall.
In this evaluation, yes, sir, that's correct. It was 25% of the total grade.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to add.
The fee
to
was
conversation.
25% of the total grade. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well,
You know, there's four others of us.
I'm not going to.
And I just can't make a decision without the others looking at it.
Yeah, I'm not.
So can we defer? Will,
You can refer to the full board without a recommendation if you like.
let's do that.
All right.
But Commissioner, just one thing to add though, and one of the things that we talked about with the CBB was that some of those decisions on how the park is going to move forward will be in the design process. So you mentioned the bathrooms, whether to renovate or to redo them. There's a couple other decisions as well. So that'll come out in the requirements phase of the design. It won't come out ahead of time. It'll come out in the requirements phase of the design. Yeah, and then you'll have better information actually to make those types of decisions.
I still would rather everybody look at it.
Yeah, I mean, right now I can't really support it. So, but I'm okay with deferring it to.
Motion, Will, would be
Refer item 28 to the Board of Commissioners
full
without
board of
recommendations.
commissioners. Mr. Chairman, I move to refer item 28 to the full board of commissioners next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, agenda settings tomorrow.
Second.
So item 28 has been motion to defer without a recommendation to the full board, the next meeting of the full board of commissioners. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jason.
That's all. Other than that one, off consent, right? That won't be on consent. Which one? The one we just deferred?
Yeah, no. Yeah, we did all the others.
Yeah, anything else?
No, sir. Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second. Then properly motion to adjourn. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.